Welcome back to another episode of There's Something in the Air, a spoiler-filled Wynonna Earp podcast sometimes. This is BP, and I'm joined by
Michelle
and Monica.
And today we're talking about episode 111, Landslide, which is the one where the things that we're about to talk about now happen.
It's the most apt description and intro ever.
I mean, where's the lie?
So I've been singing Landslide all morning. I don't know about you guys, like in my head.
I would have been, except I forgot to look at the title until like 10 minutes before we started.
Is that the name of the episode?
The one that BP just said 60 seconds ago? Yes, it is.
Do you think I pay attention while we're recording this?
Secret's out.
Like, when you said the name of our podcast, I was like, oh, right, that's what it's called.
Michelle is still going through the effects of her shoulder surgery. So, just FYI.
I just haven't been paying attention to anything. Yeah. Anyway, we should talk about this episode.
Yeah, a lot of shit happened, man.
Too much shit happened.
No, it was just the right amount.
No, there was a lot.
And that's when they broke up again.
We've broken up so many times, it's fine. So, did we talk last week about how in last week, this was in the previously on, and I noticed it, and I didn't think we talked about it last week, that Duco/Lou said, you're safe here amongst your sisters to Wynonna?
We didn't talk about it.
We did.
Man, we totally should have.
Sounds like kind of something that really deserved discussion.
All right, well, let's talk about this episode then.
Is there another Earp sister? He said plural.
Well, also, not to jump ahead, let me find my notes. Dolls, like when he's having his, tea chat with Waverly, he was like, there are just 3 of you, right?
That's a good point. They've, like...
Maybe he just said it to Wynonna. I don't remember which. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
It was Waverly.
It was Waverly.
Was it that conversation? Because he had a little bonding thing with Wynonna, too, so I was second-guessing myself.
Never second guess, just be wrong. It's fine. With confidence.
Always be confident and you're never wrong.
Always be wrong. That's my life motto. But I thought that was really interesting, because 2 seasons of this show have proven to us that there's no such thing as a throwaway line. What if there is a 4th sister?
Well, I mean, they laid enough track, like, even in just those 2 episodes, where they could do it, and we'd look back and be like, oh, yeah, they totally, like, telegraphed that to us.
Yeah. So, just, I just found it interesting.
This episode had a lot going on, including, I don't even know what you would call those 2, I guess they're revenants?
The succubi?
Yeah.
I think they're succubi, not revenants.
But, the thing with, I mean, yes. I guess this is, like, the first instance where Peacemaker puts down not revenants.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, like, introduces that into the lore.
Yeah, which is super cool.
Why are they not revenants?
Like, science? What do you mean, why aren't they revenants?
Because, like, a lot of the other revenants have had, like, weird powers that kind of come from different lore, so, like, why does that exclude them? She shot them, they went to hell, like...
But they didn't show their brand when she shot them, right?
I mean, they had been displaying their brand the entire episode.
Not that kind of brand.
I found it really disturbing when Dolls kissed the one and she had, like, blood on her face. I was like, that is so fucking disgusting, and I feel like he's gonna have PTSD.
I keep going back to our conversation with Angie where she's like, guys, Wynonna Earp is a gross show. And we're all like, what are you talking about? No, it's not. Yes.
I feel like her saying that it just, like, opened our eyes to how fucking disgusting this show is.
This episode especially, like, I had to turn away.
Like, the amount of blood on the bed after she bit off that guy's thingy was so, like, that was,
Yes, we are all adults. Man,
you know, that thing. That was so much blood.
It was.
Like, a very unbelievable amount of blood.
These are very different succubi than Bo from Lost Girl. I just want to point out. Like, she just kind of wanted to have a good time.
I wish they were more like Bo.
I kind of thought they were sirens. I don't know why. I guess they didn't sing, but
I thought and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just the blue eyes that made me think that. I don't know.
Well, I feel like if you, like, trace the, like, root of the lore behind, like, sirens and succubi, I feel like they're probably from different cultures and probably represent the same thing. Maybe.
So I loved how everyone was just standing and staring at passed out Willa. Like, that's definitely what you do to somebody who's been traumatized in a cult. Like, oh, well, let's knock her out.
with drugs.
Yes. And just stare at her until she wakes up. And I think it's very quick how it's like they find out that, you know, Eve is definitely Willa, and I feel like Waverly immediately remembers what a dick Willa was. Like, her, you know, romanticized version of her dead biggest sister is really kind of starting to come back to reality.
Well, I guess it was kind of quick, because, like, tangent. In, like, Supergirl, Kara's realization took too long. And I feel like Waverly, it was, like, way too quick.
What do you mean about which realization of Kara's?
Like, realization that, like, the soggy Trisket was, like, a piece of shit to her.
Okay, I was like, I don't think she ever thought that Alex was a dick.
No. The piece of shit.
I was extremely confused. Is there a third Danvers sister that I'm not remembering?
No. They're great. That other guy is not so much. But it took her, like, way too long to, like, realize that their relationship was garbage.
Yes.
And, like, it took Waverly or it was, like, too quick. But they wanted to pack in so much into this episode that I guess it makes sense.
It was like, oh, I'm wearing her necklace. She's alive. Remember how she used to torture my teddy bear? Like,
I don't know. I don't think it was too fast. I think that Willa is a threat to everything in Waverly's life. For her to come back out of the blue, like, she and Wynonna have just built this relationship when it used to be them, and then Wynonna dipped out after the death. She had to deal with everything herself. So her coming back into that picture is just like, it really uproots and upends everything that Waverly's worked for and has come to accept herself as, like, part of a family.
That is a good point.
And it's all downhill from here.
and that scene with all three of them in the barn where Waverly's eavesdropping.
That scene, like, hurt my soul.
Yes. I mean, and I think on this show, if you want the audience to dislike anyone or be wary of anyone or have negative feelings towards anyone, you just have them be mean to Waverly. And that's all it takes.
Well, and the thing is, like, it's really unfortunate that Waverly listened in on that conversation, because it by no means was Wynonna, like, betraying her relationship with Waverly. It's just that her and Willa used to have something that was kind of like what she has with Waverly. And, like, it just sucks that Waverly saw them, like, reminiscing on that, because, like, Wynonna obviously cares about and, like, loves Waverly. You see that later when Willa's being a dick.
Well, Waverly, I feel like Waverly's always her number one priority. Like, yeah, I could kill this Revenant or I could save Waverly. We save Waverly and we worry about the rest later. She is always her number one priority.
I think, for the show, like, I think our biggest thing is the Earp sisters, Waverly and Wynonna's relationship. And I think it's, like, such a great moment for them when, like, Waverly is kind of like, oh, I got shot. Granted, she was a little traumatic about it.
Have you ever been shot or even just grazed? I mean, I just feel like we don't know how we would react.
I feel like I'm hurt so often to just be like, oh, fuck, another one.
I feel like I would be an equal amount of dramatic.
So as much though as Waverly immediately started being like super leery of Willa, I thought Willa immediately started excluding her.
Yes, and being a dick.
Well,
yeah, for sure.
It's like she remembered who she was and was like, oh yeah, I hate her.
And I feel like Waverly is like, but still was trying. And, like, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't the best idea to show her the Willa murder box or whatever the fuck it was. Like, maybe that's a little traumatic for someone who died but didn't. But, she was coming from a good place. And, Willa is immediately a dick to her. Because she was a kid. Waverly was a kid. Of course she remembers marshmallows.
And the thing is that, like, she says that, like, Willa asked about it. And so she showed her.
Yeah.
And it was just, like Waverly telling her about how she was affected by her presumed death isn't something for her to be a bitch about. It's like saying how much Waverly cared about her, and then her being like, oh, that was just so hard for you, blah, blah, blah. It didn't make sense. Like, I know that Willa doesn't like Waverly. Like, we know that. But the reaction was, like, being insulted by the fact that Waverly was upset by her death.
She was 6 years old. What do you want her to do exactly?
Well, and I think the problem back then and the problem now, like, Willa's just jealous, right? She wants to be the heir. She wants to be the most important person in everyone's life. And they brought this baby home, and she was worried that, people were going to start paying attention to her. And now she's back in their lives, and she can see how concerned Wynonna is about Waverly, and she doesn't like it. She wants to be Wynonna's number one priority.
Yeah, she immediately starts trying to, like, manipulate her and separate her from Waverly. And you know what, though? This comes back a little bit to your nature-nurture thing, like, who would Wynonna Earp be? But when we see those flashbacks and stuff, and we already knew this in general, but, like, Ward is such a piece of shit. He's waking his kid up at, like, 4 o'clock in the morning to go shoot shit, like, drunk as he can be. So, I mean, she was taught, from the very beginning, like, you're special, you're the only one that can do this. So, like, of course she developed a complex. I also just think she generally sucks, but it's definitely a combination.
I agree with that, because, like, Ward is a piece of shit. And, like, when you see, like, what she experienced in, like, well, when he was alive, it makes sense that she's horrible, but also, like, it doesn't justify it.
I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that Wynonna Earp is my favorite Earp sister, or favorite anything, really.
But she comes in third, so, I mean, it's not terrible.
I don't know, maybe fourth. Let's wait and see.
3 of 3. It doesn't sound bad, but it is the bottom of the barrel.
I do think she's a really interesting character.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Her character development, like, the character development of so many of the characters in Wynonna Earp, it's like gradual, like, oh, this happened in this episode, and a couple episodes later this happened. Like, even Dolls, you can see him go from fancy pants agent man to,
Buzzkill in army
dragon.
boots.
Sure. But Willa, it's like, up here, down here, up here, down here. Like, it's so severe and quick. It's interesting. Wynonna Earp is a fascinating character. Sorry, Bridget, if you're listening to this right now, because you're probably shouting at me.
I don't think anybody can deny that she's interesting. Because I don't think there's any characters on this show that aren't interesting to some degree just because they take, like, the measures to develop them. So, I mean, yeah, anyway.
I mean, look at she, as an example, she's losing it over Lou going to hell and the fact that she sent him there. Like, I killed a man. And then, by the last episode of the season, she's pulling a gun on Nicole and shoots her. And, has her part in poisoning the whole town and sending them all after Wynonna and trying to kill her sister. All this stuff.
Well, even in this episode, she was like, yay, murder! Like, she didn't care.
No.
It's like when she gets her memories back, it's a complete, I mean, well, she thought she was Eve and then she becomes Willa. And like the drastic difference between like mild-mannered cult Eve to piece of shit Willa is so drastic, and like it's almost difficult to watch because like Wynonna is trying so hard to like get her back, and then when she does, she just becomes like such an unpleasant person.
I think it's interesting, too, how much she and Dolls... She actively dislikes Dolls, and I think Dolls just is leery of her. But she is so much more on task, like Dolls is. You know, Dolls is concentrating on how many heirs there are. Like, okay, well, now there are 2 of you, and what is this going to mean? And Wynonna's like, oh my god, we stopped looking for her, we're awful people. But he is on task. Like, what does this mean for our mission? And Willa doesn't give a shit about anyone's feelings, really, and just cares about killing people. And you'd think that those 2 things would mesh better than Dolls and Wynonna, and they clearly do not.
Yeah, but Dolls has that kind of mentality, 1, because he's been trained to be that way as a soldier, and 2, because he's trying to hide his feelings, not because he doesn't have them, whereas Willa just legitimately doesn't give a shit about anybody.
I really like that her killing that revenant in Shorty's / Bobo's. Also the fact that, like, Waverly and Wynonna are just like, man, where did she go? And it was like, oh, obviously a bar.
When 10 seconds ago she didn't drink.
Yeah, she was like, I don't drink. And then she's, like, throwing back, like, 10 shots.
I did her transformation I thought was too fast.
I would agree with that.
Especially when you consider she was like 14. It's not like she used to chug it down, you know what I mean? But she's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm an alcoholic now.
Yeah. I would agree about her transformation being a bit too quick / extreme. Like, if she were to, like, get her memories back, I feel like it wouldn't be, like, all of them at once like it happened. It would be, like, gradually remembering more and more.
I agree.
So do I. But we had 3 episodes, you know?
Fair.
Like, I mean, who am I to bring up logic in anything we talk about with this show? And you guys obviously know that. It did seem fast, but not, I mean, I don't know. She's had a very dramatic life.
I think it says a lot, like, when they were out shooting, and that is when she remembered, and, you know, it's obviously weighing on Wynonna, and Willa says, you hate having to do this. And Wynonna responds, what would it make me if I didn't? And I just thought, you, mostly.
Yilla. It would make you Willa.
I feel like that conversation, like, when I watched that, I, like, had to pause, because I was like, well, fuck. That's a lot. That conversation, I don't know, it was, like, great, because it just highlighted the difference between them, because, like, Wynonna does her duty as the kind of heir, and like, killing people sucks, and we've seen her struggle with it, and Willa's over here like, yeah, killing people, great.
Like, it's not even second nature, it's just her nature.
Which I think is a byproduct of Ward and how he decided to train her.
Yeah, they get, like, the combo that bitch award this episode.
Ward and Willa? I think Willa wins the that bitch award for the rest of the fucking season.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but Ward made her, so I feel like at least in this one they get a tie. And then after that it can be all her.
Fine, I'll allow it.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, but the next episodes it might be her and Bobo.
What?
For the next 2 episodes it might be her and Bobo.
I would agree with that.
Bobo's kind of always a bitch, though, so...
Yeah, but, I mean, especially...
But also, her saving him in this episode was, like, so hard to digest. And it, like, she doesn't remember her, like, weird shit with Bobo at this point, right?
I don't think so. I don't think she remembers it until she goes into the creepy swan treehouse.
Okay, I didn't think so. So it's like, it's interesting that, like, on some level, her mind knows to protect Bobo, or like that there's some sort of, like, reason why she would want to. I think that's really interesting. And then also, like Wynonna just being like, what the actual fuck?
Do you think that she knows that there's more, or is it just because he saved her life? I
believe that on some level she like she knew to like not kill him. Because like because he had like the red eyes and shit, right? Before Wynonna took a shot.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
The thing was, like, in the bar, she was so, like, gung-ho about, like, killing him. Like, every Revenant, no big deal. So I think that on some level, she, like, remembered.
Do you think there was metal in that rock? Because I thought he could only move metal with his mind.
Bobo has weird superpowers.
All right, great. We'll just skip over that. Speaking of weird things in Purgatory, it appears that Willa caught Waverly's Purgatory weather curse. Everyone else is in giant coats, and she doesn't have any sleeves. Just throwing that out there. Waverly even wore a sweater this episode, so I assume that it was negative 413 degrees.
Somebody, like, one Earp sister needs to not understand how cold it is per episode.
Per episode, those are the rules.
And Willa just happened to draw the short straw.
Also the evil straw.
I was going to say the shorty straw, but like, it doesn't make sense technically.
Does it matter?
That doesn't mean it's not. Do I ever make sense, really? How, like, I know that we don't know what a poker spectacular is, although I assume it's just a giant poker game, but how does Wynonna not know what it is? From what Bobo says, it seems like it's been going on a long time.
I just like that it's called a poker spectacular.
I really wanted to see that.
I agree.
I felt like we got cheated.
Dear people, for season 4, can we please see the poker spectacular?
I would not be mad about that at all.
Did we ever find out what that kryptonite stuff that Kreiderman gave Bobo was?
I don't think so.
Because that's what crazy knife-throwing dude put in his gas to make put in the champagne to make everyone nuts, right? But we don't know what it is?
I have no comment on this because I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Well, if we're wrong, we will probably hear about it. Please let us know.
I feel like we're wrong about most things.
I felt like there was a lot of horse imagery in this episode. Like I think Doc talks about his horse, falling sick right as they pass the line, or right as he got around the line. Willa apparently really liked horses, and Gus says not to look a miracle in the mouth. I don't think it means anything. I don't think, there's a secret horse revenant or anything, but I just wanted to make that observation.
I feel like they try really hard to, like, tie in the fact that this is kind of like a Western.
Mm.
And, like, those kind of things is like, their way of playing into that. I also have a lot of questions about, like, where the fuck the line is for the Ghost River Triangle.
Shh, just don't think about it.
It seems to be basically everywhere, if we're being honest.
Just
in this instance, like, Doc's car stops before, like, this rock. And then when he wants to check if Juan Carlo is a revenant, he throws his keys like the line was parallel to the road.
Just like good, the line of the Ghost River Triangle is a moving target.
All right, fair enough.
I thought it interesting that Willa asked, I think it was Willa, if there were any angels when they were talking about demons. I've seen quite a few people talk about, is Waverly an angel? Is Nicole an angel? Is there an angel? I mean, Waverly is Bobo's angel. But I just, it's another one of those lines that you think, is this a throwaway or are they setting us up for something that's going to happen? Just another little breadcrumb.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, though, with Bobo, if nothing else, it's already connected in season 2, where Waverly is the stand-in angel, if you will.
When Doc's car broke down, I just wondered if he didn't know he was supposed to put gas in it. Like,
Wait,
did anybody tell him that was important?
He didn't know to put gas in his car?
No, that's what I'm asking. Like, when it broke down, I was like, oh, did he just run out of gas? Because he didn't know that was a thing you had to do?
Juan Carlos said he needed a fan belt, like a belt.
Yes,
Which is, to me, hilarious, because that's, like, one of the, like, easiest things, in my opinion, to change in a car. And like, I mean, Juan Carlo is such like a dynamic character, and our introduction to him is, I think, great because they don't like outrightly tell you that this dude's important, and they just kind of like build to it in the episode.
Yeah, and I think the fact that his initials were JC gave it, another kind of, like, does that mean something? Or is he an angel? Like they were talking about in here. Like, I don't know. Lots of little hints, and I wonder if we've seen the last of him or if we'll see him again.
I love Juan Carlo. He's a great character.
I think, didn't Emily Andress say at one of the cons that Juan Carlo was Mama Earp? Or did I make that up? I don't know. Or I said that. Someone said that. That's all I could. When he showed up on screen, I was like, oh, he's the Earp sister's mother. That's what I was thinking. I liked when Wynonna told the guy who got attacked, she said, should have kept your pants on. And it was kind of like, the horror movie trope of the young blonde woman sleeps with someone and then dies. Kind of turned that on his ear, like kind of flipped the genders a little bit. I thought that was really cool.
I really did like that because it was a complete flip of an annoying trope, which is something that this show and its creators love to do.
Which I like a lot. I mean, obviously, this is something we've talked about a lot.
I love the, like, succubi just because they make, like, every dude kind of look really stupid. But I was a little bit thrown off by the fact that they were just, like, chained up in a warehouse. How long have they just been, like, there?
I know, I was wondering the same thing. Did Bobo put them there, or did he just have someone fetch them?
Yeah, I was, like, super confused about, and, like, I know they just had to, like, come up with a way to introduce them into the episode, but I was, like, tied up in a warehouse, like, how long have they been there? Is it, like, for their health? Is it, like, okay to not, be a succubi stuff?
And did they just attack the dude and then take him there? Did nobody notice a bleeding man with his pants off being carried by two women dressed in leather through the streets of Purgatory? The answer to that is probably not, of course.
They're just like, oh, is it a day that ends in Y? This is pretty normal.
So Wynonna calls Bobo a muskox. And I have to say that's my second favorite usage of someone calling someone else a muskox in a TV show.
What's the other?
BP, I assume you know what my favorite one is.
Yeah, from Parks and Rec.
Yeah, from Parks and Rec. Leslie
Brilliant,
calls
powerful
Anne.
muskox.
What?
Is it brilliant, powerful muskox?
I think. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. She calls her muskox in her glowing terms that she uses for Anne. And it, I don't know, made me chuckle.
As soon as you were, like, tagged BP into that, I was like, oh, must be Parks and Rec.
So when Willa's at the bar, the Revenant dude who's trying to get her drunk, did you notice he said that she smells like peaches?
I did not.
Ew.
That's also what the stuff that, I don't remember the guy's name in the next episode, sorry, who has, like, Doc chained up in the basement. Like, the stuff that he's making also smells like peaches, I think.
Oh, the insane, like, chemist dude?
Yes, thank you. And, maybe they just happened to pick peaches twice. But again, I was like, ooh, is there a connection there? Is there a reason?
Maybe it's just like Willa herself is the poison.
That must be it. That seems pretty accurate. I think Waverly would agree with that.
Waverly would love nothing more than for Willa to just disappear.
I mean, and I don't blame her. Willa has nothing, like, there's no redeeming way about any of the way that she treats Waverly at all.
The thing that I actually like, so, like, anytime you remember something, it's not actually memory. It's like you remember remembering something and, like, project stuff onto it. And I like the fact that, like, Waverly remembers all the shit Willa did and, like, it's all on point.
Yes.
Like, I don't think she's making any of it bigger. Because, like, if you remember, like, a bully from high school or something, like, every time you remember it, you're projecting what you're feeling onto it. And so it becomes bigger than it was. But, like, nope, Willa was that big of a dick.
She really was. For no reason other than just to be a dick.
Well, also, I think, like, nothing excuses how Willa treated Waverly. But I also think it's interesting because Waverly presumably just showed up one day. Like, there wasn't, the 9-month pregnancy leading up to it like she had with Wynonna. It was just like, hey, here's this new kid. So I could see where, like, Willa's, like, maybe animosity came because she didn't have any time to adjust to it.
Right, and I doubt that Ward and Michelle read any parenting books on how to introduce a baby into a family. I mean, I'm just guessing.
The fact that Mama Earp and I share a name is really
sorry. That is her name, right?
Yeah. That's why baby Earp was Alice Michelle.
Yes.
But every single time somebody, like, says that, I'm like, wait, what? Huh? Me?
So I loved that bar fight scene. And I really liked the music that was playing during it. I really liked the song that was playing during the bar fight. I also thought it was fun, and I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess Willa did go from, like, Eve to Earp in 3.2 seconds, but I guess that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it.
I just like that she made the same, not mistake, but she was just like, oh, yeah, kill revenants, without, like, thinking about, like, the greater population of non-revenants. And I love that there was, like, somebody, like, posted on YouTube their fight.
Right. I think, though, like, I think she and Wynonna had very different motivations for doing that. When Wynonna was in the club, she just panicked and was trying to save this girl, right? But Willa, I think, just didn't give a shit. Like, so what if there are people? Our job is to kill revenants.
That is a good point. Like, Wynonna had reason, more so. And Willa was just like, yep, we're just going to shoot people in the middle of a bar.
Yeah. Do you think Willa just feels left out because she doesn't have those furry boots with the little tassel thingies on them like Wynonna and Waverly do? Like, maybe she's like, oh, I don't have sister boots. I'm going to break these people up.
I feel like those boots are their own character.
They do look really warm. I will say that.
What happened to accessory corner? Wasn't that supposed to be a thing?
I mean, I guess we had an inadvertent one talking about those boots. And I think we've said, like, it's not that we dislike Dolls at this point in time, but he's not our favorite character. But, like, Willa really lays into him unnecessarily. And maybe it's just her trying to separate Wynonna from anyone else that she cares about.
I think that's it, because, like, her attack on Dolls is, like, unfounded and, like, really intense. And, like, when Wynonna like, calls them partners, like, the way that she just like digs into that is rough, just because of how how Dolls and Wynonna's relationship has, like, it was rocky, and, like, they're finally at a point where they are partners and they, like, have each other's back and they understand each other. And then, like, Willa comes in and is just like, oh, you're his puppet, and undermines their entire relationship.
Well, and I think she can tell that Dolls is going to put Wynonna above Willa, at least right now. And, she doesn't like that. She's just threatened by everybody. She's threatened by everyone and wants to separate them all from Wynonna, so all Wynonna has is her.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, because, I mean, like, she's horrible. She's the worst. But also she's gone through, like, massive trauma. Like, she just remembered who she was. Like, the last thing she remembers is when she was a kid and, like, got attacked. So it makes sense that she would be really defensive and, like, trying to, like, monopolize the people she knows, because that's safe. And presumably her and Wynonna's relationship was pretty good way back when. So, like, I can see why she's trying so hard to, like monopolize Wynonna, but it also is, like, not fun to watch.
Well, and it's typical, like, abusive partner behavior, right? To separate the one you're concentrating on from everyone else, to manipulate them into thinking you're the only one that they have. I mean,
that is a really good point, yeah.
She's totally doing that. Oh, and when, when Wynonna runs away and Will is like, I'm her sister, I got it. Bitch, you remember being her sister for like an hour and a half. Like, let's calm down here, okay?
I feel like the only reason, well, I guess it makes sense because it gave like Dolls the opportunity to like reassure Waverly.
And put her and Wynonna in the barn alone so they could come and save the day. Logically I realized why the two of them had to be alone.
I can see Doll's logic because it's like, all right, like Wynonna is, I don't want to say that Waverly isn't like as self-assured and like understanding who she is as Wynonna, because she like does know who she is, but she's also kind of figuring it out. Like she just started dating a girl and it's like new. And so she's like trying to understand herself. And I could see like a logic to be like, I should probably talk with her more so than like Wynonna is a little bit pissed right now.
Yeah, certainly.
I think that Wynonna is having some serious identity issues when it comes to this too, because when her and her and Dolls go off on their little mission earlier, she says, that you ended up with the off-key drunk of an understudy. It's like she had just gotten that confidence in what she was doing, like started accepting her role. And so like Will is coming in and upending what she's got going on too, except for in her, it's almost like there's a little bit of hope there because she doesn't really want to be doing this anyway.
And I think that something good you can say about Dolls is he reassures her that she is the one that he needs. And I think that's something that she needed to hear.
I think Dolls does a really good job in this episode of like he understands what's happening for both Waverly and Wynonna and does his best to make sure that they're like that Willa being back isn't negatively affecting them. Like he checks in and is like, hey, Wynonna, you're who I need. And then Waverly, he calls Earp and like it just like he's over there doing like damage control.
And I think it's really important that he gave Waverly permission not to be 100% positive about Willa being back. I think she needed to hear that. And it's true.
Yeah, because Wynonna dives in head first because of her guilt and becomes, of course, oblivious Wynonna.
Of course.
Oblivious Wynonna is in full force. But the thing also is, like, Waverly struggles, and, like, we're going to see that more in the next few episodes. And it takes Oblivious Wynonna a long time to catch up. But all she has is, like, good memories. So, like, she doesn't remotely notice Waverly's behavior, like, because she is telegraphing pretty obviously that she's not a huge Willa fan.
And I think if I were Waverly, I wouldn't be a huge Willa fan either. But
is anybody actually a Willa fan?
Bobo. And maybe Constance? I think... Nope, it's gone. Sorry.
Can I please just say, this is like a throwaway, but it bothered me so much. I laughed my ass off when Dolls and Wynonna went on their little journey and they had vests that said Black Badge.
Yes.
Like,
yep.
I think at best that would say like Marshalls, but come on. Where did they get those embroidered?
No, that was just a lot. Like, I laughed at that too.
It reminded me of Castle.
Yeah, where it says writer.
Yeah, exactly. It made me chuckle.
And then when they were in there and Wynonna got super distracted and her little throwaway line of stupid sexy hair porn was pretty
just
on
going
point.
to say that.
Yes.
The fact that this show, like, they wrote in the phrase hair porn was just perfect.
This show has never taken itself too seriously, and I love that about it.
It doesn't take itself seriously, but it also takes itself seriously.
One of my favorite lines of the episode was, eat shit eaters. Hilarious. So simple and stupid, but perfect, and believable. She's so angry and she wants to say something mean, and that's what comes out, because sometimes that happens.
I think my favorite line of this episode was when Doc noticed all of a sudden that Juan Carlo was in the truck and said, I need to start drinking less or much, much more.
I liked that one as well.
I really loved, so like the assassin peoples, show up and like Dolls instantly is just like, Waverly, hide. And she's like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna grab like my shotgun and fucking attack these people back. Like Dolls kind of is like, not, I mean, he like just wants her to get the safety and she's like, oh, fuck no.
She's trying so hard to just make sure everyone understands she's not just like that little kid, or she's not someone who needs to be protected constantly. And like one of the things that Willa said that fucking pissed me off so hard was when they were in the barn and she told Wynonna, you're not alone anymore. Because it's like, bitch, she was never alone. Waverly's doing her part. Just because she's not shooting that gun doesn't mean she's not important, and I hate you.
My note for that was, Willa, she was never alone, you bitch.
I put, she was never alone, you asshole.
Mine was in all caps.
I said that out loud to my tablet when I was watching. I was like, bitch, she's not alone.
And she never has been. And, you know, Waverly is extremely smart, and she should know that that's not true. But some things are louder than, you know, what you know. Like sometimes what you feel and how you're being manipulated to feel just is stronger than you know, facts.
Emotions, dude.
I really liked in the warehouse where like whichever succubi was like trying to like use her powers on Wynonna, and she was just like, oh, I'm flattered, but for a whole whack of reasons, you're not my type.
Yes.
It was so good.
And this is another like hint for Dolls, because they're like, you're different, you're so powerful. So I noted that this is Dragon Watch 2016.
Yep.
And they said something to him about like, oh, there's, you know, something powerful trying to get out, and he's like, oh, I like to keep it in. I'm getting all of that wrong. I should probably just look up the lines from the fucking episode.
They say, you're powerful, whatever that is, way deep down, or way down deep, just let it out. And he's just like, I try so hard not to. I maybe have the transcript up.
Thank you. I was just about to pull it up. I really liked the eat shit eaters, but I thought Dolls shouting, let's go, bitches, right before it was also really, really good. Also, these are like the worst mercenaries ever. Why would they attack Dolls at home in his sleep? Let's go to the homestead where there are other people there and more guns. And
yeah, were they on a clock?
In the middle of the day.
Where you can see us coming from miles away.
Like, you need to kill them before 3 p.m. I mean, they did have the, like, white camo.
It wasn't all white, though.
Had anyone looked out the window, they would have been fucked.
They are, yeah, they're horrible, because there are a million ways that you can kill somebody. Like, an all-out assault in the middle of the day is probably one of the worst.
In our next episode, Michelle is going to list some of the ways that would have been better to kill someone. It's very exciting. It's a special episode. Look forward to that.
It's going to be very short because the answer is literally all of them.
Literally everything else.
Every other way.
Poison him. Kill him in his sleep.
Don't let them tune in next week, Michelle. Let's not spoil it.
I'll just put together a comprehensive list.
That would be great.
When Juan Carlo told Doc, you have to choose, I had some serious Hundy feelings from this last week's episode. And I wrote, you're with the Earps or you're the enemy of the Earps. Choose.
Yeah. There were definitely some connections to this week's, or last week's Hundy.
They're spiraling.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was going to go on longer. I was just waiting.
Apparently not. This is the episode, I don't think we've fully learned this before. This is the episode where we find out that Ward knew the attack was coming.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that is a good point. And I like that, how he communicated that to, Willa. yeah, he's a piece of garbage, but it, like, I don't know. The fact that he told Willa, I think, was interesting.
It probably just slipped in like one of his drunken stupors.
Possibly.
That guy, when Willa was in the bar and she was like, oh, because I was in a cult in the woods, blah, 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 and that dude was like, darling, that's weird.
Yes.
Laughing so hard.
We've never seen him before, right? He wasn't like the gas station owner from the last episode,
I
right?
don't think so.
I don't think so. It wasn't Pete?
It was not Pete. Pete's not a revenant. That's the only reason it wasn't Pete.
I just really, really loved, like, the flyer for, I'm assuming, the Poker Spectacular, where it was just, like, Shorty / Bobo.
So, it was weird. They made a comment, I think it was Dolls that said it, I don't even remember anymore, but he made the comment, if Kreiderman is dirty. Like, didn't we find that out in, like, episode 2?
Didn't we find that out as soon as we met him?
That's what I'm saying. Like, he was the one that had the picture of the hanging or whatever, or they were hanging the air upside down, the 7, and when he said if, I was like, this is not news,
Did they
dude.
not notice the picture?
No, they totally did. That's how they remembered it, right?
I mean, either
I
way,
think so.
he's, like, garbage, and it was obvious.
Well, sure.
Doc has the I've been told I have character line in this one.
I feel like so much happens in this episode that, like, Doc and Juan Carlo kind of, like, gets buried underneath, like, everything else. But I really love when Juan Carlo just mispronounces iPods and Netflix.
Yes.
Yeah, that was freaking great.
Like, what does Juan Carlo do with his time?
Works on cars. Carries around, looks for old fan belts, just in case.
Avoids getting eaten outside of church.
I thought the music in this episode, like, it's always good, but this one was especially good. Especially during the scene in the bar, and then when they come out of the barn with their guns.
I just loved how they filmed them coming out of the barn with their, like, semi-automatic guns. And it was, like, kind of in slow motion, but not, like, overly done.
Those are fully automatic now.
I don't know anything about guns.
No, me neither.
Well, come out saying stuff. Never mind.
I just picked a phrase.
As per usual.
They came out of the barn with those guns.
I mean, again, if you're looking for accuracy, you've probably come to the wrong podcast.
Well, and, like, if you ask me anything about guns, I just know nothing because I don't like them.
Well, if Michelle next week is going to have to give all the plans that are better to kill people than a raid in the middle of the day, I feel like I should explain guns.
Man, this is going to be our highest rated episode yet. I don't think I can make recording, though, so... because I already have plans at that day and time that we haven't picked.
I'm super busy at my hair appointment.
You don't want to hear us just reading a list.
It's Mother's Day next weekend. If you think I'm not driving to West Virginia again, well, there's something wrong with you.
If you don't think your mom wants to hear about guns, I feel like you don't know anything about moms.
If you don't think my mom owns more guns than all of us put together, you're also incorrect.
Is the sum total of our gun collection 0?
No.
No.
Oh, interesting. I live in Iowa, and people really fucking love guns here. And when a lot of my coworkers found out that I've never shot a gun in my life, they were, like, outraged. And I'm like, that's just not something I'm going to do. And then I got a lot of invites to gun ranges.
Aw, that's nice. Someone that I know makes assumptions about me because of other characteristics. I think, like, oh, she's a lesbian, obviously she's a liberal, and she wants to take away my guns. That is not an accurate representation of how I feel. But we've discussed before, and I think she was like, oh, well, I know you don't, you have a problem with guns or something. And I'm like, dude, I have no problem. I have no problem with guns. I don't know why you would need a machine gun at your home. And she was like, oh, well, I feel the same way. I'm like, see, I'm a rational human being. But my dad was...
Machine gun. Fully automatic.
Right. Don't know why you would need that for hunting. My dad was a hunter, and owned, like, before they got married, my mom would buy him guns as, like, Christmas gifts. And she still has most of them. That's not interesting. We can take all of this out. Anyway. Like I said before, Wynona's number one priority is always Waverly. Waverly gets shot and she wants to check her out. And Willa's like, come on, let's go. And she knows, all that she knows about those people who have attacked them is that they're not revenants. But she wants to kill them. And that's more important to her than whether or not her sister is okay. Either of her sisters, really.
When the first time I watched this episode, when Wynona's helping Waverly clean her wound and Waverly, does the do chicks thing, I really, really thought that Wynonna got it.
That's hilarious.
Because, like, the face she makes is kind of, like, of understanding. Like, I read, like, Valerie's recap. Well, I don't know. I, like, read Valerie's recap afterwards, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's definitely what it was, because she had the same thoughts in it. And I'm like, okay, solid. And then she becomes oblivious Wynonna again, and I'm like, I feel like they told Melanie to, like, act like she understood it, and then afterwards they were like, fuck it.
I feel like she started to understand it, and then Dolls interrupted her from fully understanding, and she immediately forgot about it.
Fair.
Also, I don't think she's putting coconut oil on that wound. Is Willa gonna come in and, like, be a dick to her about wound care?
It only matters
Probably
when
not.
Nicole does it.
Right.
It's only, it's only because when, one of the gays is doing it wrong.
When she asked Waverly in this episode, like, because Waverly flinched back from her, and she's like, "Are you scared of me?" And I was just like, fuck yes, who wouldn't be scared of you? Like, you're fucking ridiculous.
You were in a cult for how many years? We don't know anything about you.
You didn't call your dad or your sister.
Right. Clearly there's something wrong. Yes.
Well, the thing is, like, we don't learn this in this episode, but like it's the next episode maybe where, like, Waverly recalls that time that, like, Willa tried to kill her.
Which time?
Yeah, true.
Multiple. We learn about multiple times, and it's like, are you afraid of me? And it's like, fuck yeah, you actually tried to kill me multiple times.
Well, and Willa's like, oh, remember we used to make the gummy bears dance across the beams? And I'm like, remember when you made your 3-year-old sister dance across one of those beams, you fucking asshole? No,
That
we
was
just
my
talked about...
response too.
Yeah. Like, no, let's talk about gummy bears with Wynonna, and then let's, not think about how you almost killed your baby sister.
Well, there was that, and then didn't she also try to, like, drown her?
Yes.
Yeah. Basically, Willa's the worst.
But the reasons why are complex and many.
Oh, she's a great character. She's just also garbage.
She's also the worst.
We didn't get enough time with her, I don't think, to, like, I mean, you could have that conversation round and round all day long, but I don't think we got enough time with her to make, like, any real conclusions as those things go.
I kind of wish that we had met her in an earlier episode, or if they had more episodes in this season where they could develop her more, because she goes from, like, innocent cult person to supervillain in, like, 10 seconds. And it would be interesting to, like, learn more about why she's the worst.
Well, she had a nap, so it was perfect transition time.
She also had a traumatic brain injury in the last episode when Wynonna hit her in the head with the chamber pot and knocked her out. So maybe
as everybody knows, head injuries are one of the main or one of the 3 characteristics of killers.
Right.
That's not
Just
true.
saying.
I mean, it's not one of the 3. It is speculative, but it is not one of the 3.
It's one of the common themes that serial killers often share.
Totally
right?
agree.
Okay.
I believe so. All of the murder podcasts that I listen to, which is multiple at this point, agree with that statement too.
The 3 are animal harm, bedwetting, and starting fires.
I thought one of them was head injury.
That's one that we think should be added.
Huh. I'm
I'm just gonna let this happen. I'm just gonna sit back.
I believe you, BP. I need to update my notes.
I mean, it's really not that important.
Any other observations or questions or whatever on this episode?
I'm trying to think of, like, everything that happened in this episode.
There was a lot.
I really liked how Doc had Juan Carlo, like, cross the line, and he was just like, oh, fine, we'll go through this song and dance. And the way Doc pulls out his, like, keys, and he's like, oh, I found them!
But Juan Carlo knew the entire time what he was doing. It was fantastic.
Like, I love Juan Carlo, and, like, his introduction in this episode is fantastic.
He just cannot be fucking bothered by, like, anything that's going on. I at the end, though, I did note, like, so Doc finally makes the right choice, of course. He always does. But then he immediately gets screwed over, so, you know.
But he had left, right? And then came back? Because don't we see him crossing over the border again? Or did I misread the scene?
No, that's probably true. You know, he always has to...
He makes the wrong decision and then realizes it and makes the right decision.
Correct.
But yes, that fan belt wasn't very good, I guess.
I just like how he just throws shade at Juan Carlo, and he's like, that guy's not great at this.
So I am not an auto mechanic, but I thought when your fan belt went bad, would it cause your car's exhaust to smoke like that?
No.
Okay, great.
That was something I actually had an issue with. I was like something has to go really, really wrong for your engine to, like, be producing enough smoke where it seems like it's on fire.
He probably also, like, drained his radiator fluid.
And there's no gas in the car.
There's, like, no gas. There's the oil is, like, completely wrecked. There's no, like, radiator fluid or, like, anything in it. Maybe that would make your car smoke.
Maybe.
I don't recommend draining your transmission fluid.
That would be a really bad idea.
We're a full service podcast here. Car tips. Talking about TV.
Accessories.
Humanity.
Serial killers.
How to kill people. Bedwetting. I mean, we've got it all. Anything else?
I mean, how do you follow that up?
I can't.
The last thing that, like, I remember is when Bobo, like, figures out that Willa's alive based off of, like, a YouTube video. And then crushes the phone. I'm like, dude, that's like $700.
They steal them, dork.
Still, he should know the value of $1, whether he steals it or not.
It's just my phone has, like, a cracked screen, and replacing it would be so fucking expensive. So when he did that, I was just like, oh, don't do it. That's all I got.
Okay. So, we wanted to say thank you again to our lovely artists who have designed the logos for the merch in our store. So, a special shout out to Chantal and Sam and BP for all of those great designs. We hope to have a new one up there soon. We also wanted to say thank you to our patrons who sponsor us and make this podcast possible. We are very grateful for all of you. If you'd like to be a patron to our podcast, that information is available at our website, earpsplainpod.com. You can find some other stuff there.
You can find a link to our store, links to our episodes, and all of our contact information that we're going to rattle off in a second.
This week we did a giveaway. Our patron Baby Earp decided to Earp forward her t-shirt, which is one of the rewards at the $20 level. And we just wanted to say congratulations to @SheriffNHot, who won the giveaway. She was extremely excited. Probably on one of our next weeks off, we'll do another giveaway. Michelle and I were able to get some autographed pictures at Klexicon, so we'll be giving one of those away.
And by that, we also took selfies.
We did also take selfies, which was great. If you want to give us feedback or just reach out and say hey, you can get a hold of us at a lot of different ways. You can DM us on our Twitter, which is earpsplainpod. You can email us at somethinginair@gmail.com. You can leave us a voicemail at a number that I will never remember. Anyway, if you want to get a hold of us, go to our website and click on contact information, and it's all there. If you enjoy this podcast, you can rate and review us over at iTunes, and you can subscribe to us on iTunes or Google Play. And if you would be willing to give us some good stars and good feedback, we would be extremely appreciative of that. Next time, we will be talking about a recap of episode 112, House of Memories, which is the one with the ridiculous party, a great umlaut joke, and Willa just does some ridiculous, crazy shit.
Oh man, that umlaut joke.
I loved it. I love punctuation jokes. I can't help it. Anyway.
And fractions.
And fractions. I never got out of, a childhood mindset. That's when you learn that stuff, and I still find that stuff hilarious. Thank you for listening, everybody. We hope you had a good time. And remember, it may be a shit show, but it's our shit show.